Welcome back to part 14 of our study on pre-rapture contexts in the Bible, where I'm coming back to Matthew chapter 24, where, as I stated in the previous video, I think that verses 4 through 14 is all pre-midnight. The finishing here is the out of the midst in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 7, where there's more key words here that tie to the apostasy of 2 Thessalonians, which one here would be errorize, which we actually find in verse 4, 5, and 11. Errorize many. And they will errorize many. Errorize. Paul writes, but the Spirit declaredly says that in hysterical terms. Okay, the word terms here is plural, which I think is referring to the terms to uphead the all, the same terms of Ephesians 1:10, according to the mystery, the hours from eventide to midnight. Okay, some will apostatize from the faithing, attending to errorizing spirits and to teachings through demons. Hence, for many will come on account of my name, saying, I am the Christ. And they will errorize many. Matthew 24, 4 and 5. So errorize is a key word to apostasy, which we also find in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3. When Paul writes, let not one out deceive you by not one matter that it has taken stand, it is referring to the day of the Lord. The day of the Lord that comes like a thief comes upon those unaware, who will be shut out of the wedding into this term, the third watch time term. So the apostasy comes before that. And the human of lawlessness, now this is the key word that I want to focus on now, according to the apostasy, will be unveiled. Where if we come down here, lawlessness is mentioned again according to a mystery. For the mystery of lawlessness does already in work, where the out of the midst is midnight, the middle. This is the same word in Matthew 25:6, mesos, in conjunction with the middle of the night, where those who are prepared come into the wedding feasts. So the mystery of lawlessness is opposed to the mystery of well-honoring, 1 Timothy 3:6. Which the concluding statement, the taken up in glory here, is the out of the midst, is the harpazo, the rapture at midnight, concluding the terms to uphead the all. So, this is the resurrection. So we see the mystery of lawlessness, well-honoring, according to the opposing mystery of lawlessness back here in 2 Thessalonians 2, 7. Conjunction with out of the midst, which again is the taken up in glory. Okay, so we see lawlessness, lawlessness, lawlessness all mentioned in here. So the mystery of lawlessness is pre-midnight, where when the lawless one is unveiled, this is into the wrath, the unveiled into the wrath that comes here, where Paul concludes and says, whom the Lord Jesus will consume with the spirit of his mouth and make down unworking, which now brings us back to Matthew 24. Where here in verse 12, Jesus says, and because the lawlessness grows to fullness would be pre-midnight. Because, again, the lawlessness is made down unworking in what's called the on-appearing of his presence. So the making down and working of lawlessness will happen here when all of the enemies are put under the feet of the footstool. So the point being is that the lawlessness that grows to fullness is pre-midnight. Where then more connections to the word lawlessness to the context of midnight is seen here in Matthew 7:23, where many will talk to me in that day, Lord, Lord, did we not prophesy in your name, and in your name did drive out demons, and did many ability powers in your name? And then I will likewise to them, I never knew you, abscond from me, you those working the lawlessness, according to the mystery of lawlessness, where those who are saying, Lord, Lord, are the foolish virgins. Matthew 25:11, but hereafter come also the rest of the virgins, not prepared, saying, Lord, Lord, open to us, which the timeline given is midnight, the middle of the night, which again the word is mesos, G3319, the same in 2 Thessalonians 2:7, mesos, G3319. So that which is restraining the human of lawlessness from being unveiled in his term is the mystery of the well-honoring, who will be taken up in glory, and then the lawless one will be unveiled, whom the Lord Jesus will consume with the spirit of his mouth and make down unworking. So the lawlessness will be made down unworking, where here it's growing to fullness, leading up to a finishing. So again, to me, this confirms that the context of Matthew 24, namely verses 4 through 14, are all according to the terms to uphead the all, leading to the harpazo event into the clouds, which is the out of the midst and the taken up in glory here. And then the lawless one will be unveiled among those being wholly loosened away then, because they did not receive the love of the truth beforehand for their being saved. Remember, saved here, which again brings us back to the finishing here. But the one below abiding in the faith, not apostatizing from the faith into the finishing, will be saved.